Hello, and welcome to the 2022 Virtual Gift of Sight celebration. Given that November is National Eye Donor Month, there is no better time to host this event honoring your loved ones. On behalf of all of us at Eversight, I thank you for joining us today during this special time of year. My name is Diane Hollingsworth, and I am President and CEO of Eversight. I have the privilege of working with families like you, transplant recipients, volunteers, community organizations, and advocates who support the gift of sight. I'd like to start off the presentation today by providing some key highlights on Eversight's mission and the work that your loved one's selfless donation made possible. The gift of sight is possible only because of you and your loved ones. This is what we're here to celebrate, the selfless decision to give the gift of sight your loved ones has provided and the life-changing legacy they have provided to others. We join you in compassion for the loss that you have experienced and also in inspiration and gratitude for what you have made possible. Today, you will hear from several speakers who are personally tied to donation and transplantation. Today's program will be recorded, and you'll receive an email after the event with the recording. First, we'll hear from Patty Gustafson, who will speak about her son, Michael, as you can see pictured here. Patty is the founder of Swifty Foundation and an Eversight ambassador. Michael passed away at the age of 15 from pediatric molliblastoma. In the video, which we're about to show you, Patty shares her family's experience in finding hope through Michael's selfless gift as a cornea donor.
Thank you for letting me speak about Michael today. As any parent who has lost a child knows, it's rare that we get to speak of them. And so given the opportunity, we jump at the chance. So thank you. Having a child who wants to donate their organs to help other people, and yet having a body that's riddled with cancer and the toxic chemicals used to treat that cancer, no one will receive this gift that's being so lovingly offered. My son Michael wanted desperately to find meaning and purpose to a life that was ending before he had a chance to fully live it. And I'm going to share some pictures, so hold on a minute. Michael was diagnosed with medulloblastoma at the age of 10. This is a pediatric brain cancer that has an 80% survival rate. And so he bravely and optimistically went through a craniotomy here in Chicago. And then 5 days a week for 6 weeks, he received radiation to his brain and spine, along with chemotherapy while we were in Boston. He came home to Chicago for 6 months of chemotherapy. And in that fifth grade school year, he actually missed less school than his twin sister because he was so determined to be strong and normal. Michael was in remission for a full year when we got the devastating news that his tumor had returned. And with medulloblastoma, the survival rate, if the tumor returns, is less than 5%. Yes, you heard that, 5%. We were stunned. And before cancer, Michael was an amazing athlete. He excelled at most sports, but his favorite was gymnastics. He even won first place at the state gymnastics meet in the pommel horse, and he never lost a handstand contest at a gymnastics meet because that contest is all about determination, strength, and balance, which he had in spades. It was incredibly difficult for Michael to go from being the best athlete, the fastest kid in his class, to the slowest. So for the 5 years Michael lived with cancer, he worked incredibly hard to regain his strength, to stay at the top of his class in his studies, and to raise money and awareness for pediatric brain cancer. Michael's dream was to be a scientist, and he was shocked to discover he would not realize that dream or all of the others, like learning to drive a car or go on a first date, continue his education, and find a way to help others through work and service. It pained him so to feel his life wasn't going to matter, and convincing him otherwise was difficult. He wrestled with finding meaning to his unimaginably shortened life. Michael came up with a plan to still help scientists, not by becoming a scientist, but by donating his body to others. His hope was to be an organ donor, but we quickly discovered that was impossible. And so he was so excited that after further research, we discovered Eversight, and Michael was excited to learn he could help someone see the world after he was no longer able to. Through the miracle of science, a piece of him literally would transform another person's life. This appealed to Michael on so many levels. Michael was a voracious reader, and as the tumor grew, he began to see double. And at first, glasses helped this, but there came a day when the clock turned back, and he asked me to read to him again. Some of our best times together were with Michael and his twin sister Bridget, snuggled into my lap reading, and to go back to that precious activity as he lay dying was bittersweet. Knowing how being unable to read or see things clearly impacted his daily life and ability to be independent made a huge impression on Mikey, and so he was very excited to help someone else overcome their vision problems. It was finding the good in the tragic that allowed Michael to let go bit by bit of all he held dear. Michael was also determined to contribute to science by donating his tumor tissue to research so they could study his brain and spine to determine why he wasn't one of the 80% survivors of this dreadful disease. It was through donating Michael's tissue that we discovered the great need for and lack of diseased tissue for researchers to study to find better treatment for pediatric brain tumors. Postmortem brain tumor tissue collection has become the focus of the foundation Mikey started before his death at age 15, the Swifty Foundation. Working for Swifty has become how our family has channeled our grief for Michael. In working to further research, our family has been able to carry on Michael's legacy of helping others, furthering science and finding purpose and meaning in the unimaginable. The day we heard from Eversight that a woman received Michael's corneas and was able to now see and take care of her children was one of the brightest days and a very sorrowful time for our family. Not knowing the science behind cornea transplants, I like to imagine that Michael's still looking out at the world, taking in the beauty all around us. Birds, butterflies, his favorite color orange, flowers, mountains. It's magical thinking, and it doesn't really matter if it's true or not. The fact is, Michael made a gift of himself that helped another, and as she gazes at her children with love in her eyes, it's partly through Michael the gaze occurs, and that gift is a gift to her and to her family, just as it was a gift to Michael and to our family, as we know he still looks out on the beauty that surrounds us all.
Thank you, Patty, for sharing your story of your son, Michael, with all of us today. Very inspirational. In the next video, we will hear from Peter DeSarno. Peter is a double cornea transplant recipient, holds an MBA, is a Rutgers University alumni, New Providence councilman, and New Providence Lions Club member. In Peter's video, he expresses his gratitude to his cornea donors and their families for allowing him to develop his career, see his wife's face, and watch his daughters grow.
Pete DeSarno. I consider it an honor and privilege to speak with you today. I'm passionate about spreading the important, life-saving, and enhancing message of tissue donation because I know the powerful impact it can have. When I was 17 years old, while playing baseball my junior year of high school, I noticed I was having some difficulty seeing the ball. It quickly became apparent that I was experiencing serious, rapid decline in my vision. After many trips to various eye specialists in New Jersey and New York, I was diagnosed with a condition called keratoconus. This condition has the effect over time of damaging the cornea, causing it to become distorted and cone-shaped. If left untreated, it would have continued to degrade my vision, making it difficult for me to see. With the help of many pairs of specially crafted contact lenses, my vision was temporarily restored. This allowed me the ability to attend college and earn my undergraduate accounting degree. However, during the first couple years of my career, while working long hours in public accounting, the specially crafted contact lenses were no longer effective. This was a result of the level of distortion and severe curvature that the progression of the condition had caused to my cornea. Given the situation, it was recommended by my doctor to have cornea transplants in both of my eyes. At the age of 24, I received 2 cornea transplants that restored my vision and forever changed my life. My first transplant in my left eye occurred on March 1st of that year. The gift of that donor cornea came to me with the assistance of the Lions Eye Bank of Texas. The second transplant in my right eye occurred later that year on December 9th. That donor cornea was procured with the assistance of the Lions Eye Bank of New Jersey, now Eversight. I've always been mindful and appreciative of the wonderful gifts that I've received. I think it is heroic that someone could be so generous and selfless. Equally noble is that a donor family could make such a compassionate and giving decision at such a difficult time. These acts in my mind are among the most beautiful things that one human could do for another in this world. I will forever be grateful for the vision that my donors have provided me, as well as the organizations like Eversight that help to play a role. The gift of sight I've been given has allowed me to see the details of my wife's face, watch my 3 daughters grow, and professionally be able to have a career over the last 25 years in public, corporate, and not-for-profit accounting. While the impact of restoring my vision is a gift well beyond words, there is another gift that this experience has provided me. When I received my corneas, I was also given the gift of perspective. While I have unfortunately not been able to make contact with the loved ones of my 2 donor corneas, I know that those donors and their families were willing to help a fellow human being that they didn't even know. Today, I look out of the eyes of 2 other individuals. I don't know if they were a man or woman, what race or religion. What I do know is that they were 2 heroic human beings who came from 2 loving, caring, and generous families who in their darkest hour displayed an incredible amount of love and compassion in providing me with the gift of sight. I don't think humanity gets any more beautiful than that. So from the bottom of my heart, I say to you a sincere thank you. I am very grateful to you and your loved ones as you've impacted my life and many others tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for sharing your story. It's a wonderful story, and we're so happy for you to be able to see the world. Our next speaker is Folly Kolizzi. Folly is the mother of Josh, a proud cornea transplant recipient. She is also the author of 3 novels, graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree from Illinois State University, and is an Eversight ambassador. Due to a terrible eye infection, Josh became blind in his left eye at the age of 14. Nearly a year since he began losing his vision, Josh received a transplant. In this video, Folly expresses her gratitude for this gift, which allowed Josh to get back to school, spend time with friends, and resume his favorite activity, playing baseball.
Hi, my name is Fali Khaleesi, and I'd like to ask you, what does a cornea transplant have to do with baseball? For my son Josh, it means everything. I would like to share my son's story with you with a letter that I wrote the donor family. I have no words to express my gratitude and love for this miracle cornea that my 13-year-old son was a recipient of. My son's transplant journey began in January of 2021. My son almost lost his eye due to a horrible eye infection, vascularization, and eye ulcer. I raced him to the hospital, and after round the clock care and 7 to 9 different medications, we knew that our lives were turned upside down. We tried everything to heal the ulcer and eventually implanted a corneal bandage. Josh missed school, friends, and his baseball practice. His life was put on hold. He was a different child and now only had vision in one eye. Weeks had passed and the doctor removed the corneal bandage. To our heartbreak, the ulcer came back with a vengeance. Months had passed by now and the ulcer and infection had finally healed. We were relieved, but the real struggles were still in front of us. Still blind in his left eye, Josh developed a thick amount of scar tissue completely blocking his field of vision. Mid-April, I watched Josh play the game he was born to play. Josh was now tackling this fast-paced competitive game with vision in one eye. After all, he could not see the entire baseball field and he had to move his entire head to see both ends. I know he struggled with his batting average, but I believe I saw miracles on that baseball field. I saw supernatural forces take over as Josh seemed to play by instinct, hitting home runs, triples, catching uncatchable balls, and pitching at 80 plus miles an hour with no depth perception. Josh never backed down from a challenge as coaches from other teams took notice of him, not knowing he was blind in one eye. Josh lived brave, strong, and he had the courage to go beyond his limitations. Josh played with faith and belief in himself. I believe he saw the ball in his mind, for there was no explanation for the athleticism I saw on that ball field. Weeks had passed, and there was nothing else the medication could do for Josh's scar tissue. We began to talk corneal transplant. The doctors feared how young Josh was and that some of the complications that could come with the surgery. Panic attacks and nightmares plagued me. Our next plan of action was fitting Josh with a prosthetic contact sclera lens. Over a 2-month adjustment period, the lens had failed, and Josh's vision was only 20/80. Heartbroken, we knew that the scar tissue was just too thick. We were at the end of the road with what this lens could do. I had to leave the room to gain my composure. Times were scary and uncertain. Josh has dreams of playing D1 baseball in college, and I wanted my son to see again. We pursued a second opinion and was informed of a procedure called the DELK, deep anterior lamellar keratoplasty, a transplant with less rejection and complications. The moment hope had come alive was quickly doused by the thickness of Josh's corneal scar tissue. He did not qualify for the procedure. I told Josh we were never giving up. By now, almost a year had passed, and we were back at the corneal specialist. Another heartbreaking exam revealed that Josh's scar tissue was getting worse and his world was getting darker. I don't even think I heard the words that the doctor was telling me. Tunnel vision set in. This was a scary blessing in disguise. We had exhausted all possibilities with the exception of the corneal transplant. I knew that I had to quickly get the ball rolling to make this surgery happen. We knew the consequences of the surgery and had to swallow all doubt. We knew the risks, the possibility of infection, rejection, cataracts, glaucoma, bleeding, and the unthinkable outcomes of the operation. We knew that healing was going to be a year-long challenge. We squashed our fears with faith. I saw strength in Josh that I had never seen before. Josh was off to another baseball tournament in Florida, and at the end of January 2022, I scheduled the full-thickness corneal transplant. I walked a few steps down the hallway, holding onto Josh's shoulder, feeling lost as they took him into the surgical quarters. At that point, I sank deep within myself. My heart was heavy, and I knew that someone left this world and gave my son a gift that I can never repay. Today, and for the rest of my life, I thank the entire surgical team, Eversight Eye Bank, the hundreds of people that prayed for my son, and most importantly, you, the donor and family, forever in my heart. If anyone does not think that a corneal transplant is not a miracle, I have this wonderful story of heartbreak and triumph. My son needed a miracle. My son needed a hero. Josh now has both by your loved one's life-changing donation. Your loved one's gift is the window in which my son now views the world. They say that the eyes are the window to the soul. My son has a new window and guardian angel watching over him. I hope my letter brings you peace. I feel filled with eternal gratitude for your selfless act of love, kindness, and I am in awe of your compassion and saying yes to tissue donation. Gratefully, thankfully, faithfully, Josh's mom. Thank you for listening to my son's story. I am forever grateful for this life-changing gift.
Thank you, Folly, for sharing. Our final speaker is Alice Wallace, donor mother and organ, tissue, and eye donation advocate, New Jersey Sharing Network volunteer, and the recipient of Eversight's 2020 Shared Vision Award. Alice's son, Connor, passed away unexpectedly at the age of 23. However, his brave spirit carried on as he generously donated his corneas, heart valves, veins, tissue, ligaments, tendons, and bones, changing the future for dozens of people in need. Alice speaks about her son's gift in the next video. And after the conclusion of Alice's story, we will take some time to remember and celebrate your loved ones through a slideshow presentation of photos and stories.
Hello, my name is Alice Gorzicki Walsh, and I'm a proud donor mom. My son Connor passed away 5 years ago. One of his most proudest accomplishments in his life was being an eye and tissue donor. Because of his tissue donation, he was able to give sight to 2 individuals. He'd be so proud to know that his corneas have now transformed 2 lives. I want to continue Connor's mission of giving back and paying it forward to the community. I'd like to continue Connor's initiative, and I found my purpose in my life, as well as partnering with Eversight and the New Jersey Sharing Network to advance research. Research is such an integral part in giving back to the community because it enables an organization to further promote their mission and values as well. I will leave you with 3 points that are important to me. I always like to inform people about what I've done and what I will continue to do. I want to inspire people with my story, and I want to educate them and have them understand the importance of giving back, because in giving back, you can find your purpose in life. Never underestimate the power of one act of kindness. It does make that difference.
The impact and value of your loved one's gift cannot be overstated. Thank you for taking time to share and honor those memories with us today. That concludes the presentation portion of our celebration. You will receive a link to the recording of this presentation in the following days. Now we will break you into groups with fellow donor families and volunteers to ask any questions that you might have, as well as to take some time to tell the stories of your loved ones if you so choose. This portion of the presentation is not recorded, so feel free to share and be comfortable. Thank you so much for joining us today.